City Apache Junction Council session to order. The invocation be led by Vice Mayor Rizzi and the pledge by Councilman Grimmel.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being gathered here today to do the city's business on behalf of our constituents. We ask that each of us be guided by you in the decisions we make that will affect others and not by any personal agenda or ego. We ask to be humble in our disagreements and that we never forget we are here to serve the people of this beautiful community. Father, we ask for your protection for all of our first responders, those serving in our military, and all of their family members. We ask that they be brought home safely each and every day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Avon calling.
Roll call.
Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Present.
Councilmember Biggs.
Here.
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
As a reminder, all items under consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If a councilman wishes to remove an item, since there's no other item, but the request was made prior to approving the consent agenda and be moved to new business. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs.
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel.
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Okay, regional intergovernment agreements updates from the council. Councilman Gremmel?
Yeah.
Wanted to
I just wanted to let everybody know that GPAC will confirm the new board members in September. So once that vote is taken, then actually I'll meet with staff and get started. So I just wanted to let everybody know where we were at with that.
Okay, anyone else have anything updates? Yes.
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
The 22nd, we resume our meetings. So in 2 days, I'll start getting some information for you all.
Robert, is that for CAG or what?
PARTA and CAG. So PARTA's the 22nd, CAG's the 24th, I believe.
I just wanted to report that the Community Development Corporation continues to work on a cleanup on a 2nd Avenue project. We've had over 56 hours of volunteer time put in, 21 plus tires removed. We've completely filled one 40-yard dumpster, and a second one is ordered for Friday to continue. So, always looking for volunteers. Please go on the Apache Junction Community Development website and sign up. Thank you.
Anyone else besides myself? Okay, I had a meeting for the Gateway Airport, and this is a picture as they are, first off, attempting to raise the upper, it's 2 stories high. This is the tower that they're putting up. Unfortunately, they were not able to put it on there because the crane was too close, so they had to put it back down and move the crane. They're hoping to be able to do it this Wednesday. If you notice that one section in the center, kind of the finger that's going up, this structure has to go up over top of it, come down. That's the elevator in it, and that's the upper area, which is 2 stories high. And if you notice at the base, there's another metal frame that's down there at the bottom, which is the top part, which is actually where I'm going to say the controllers are going to be in it. So that has to go on the top eventually. But this is taking some time, but it's coming along. And they were excited about the attempt and kind of disappointed that things were too close and they had to move. But it was an opportunity for them to figure out what's going on. Also, they've had some improvements that are working on, some budgets to make some major improvements out there. And one of the things that they're looking at is increasing the parking ramps. They've had an increased number of planes that are coming in, servicing them. And so far this year, they've had a record-breaking sale of jet fuel. And also, because the Forest Service has had their plane that they went out and, were refueling here and going out and fighting the fires, but the Forest Service has contracts for their own fuel. They also said that they had a major record-breaking of pass-through fuel as well. They still had to sell some fuel to the Forest Service, and in fact, they were to the point where they didn't know where their next drop of fuel was coming, because they basically ran out. And as you may have heard in the news, the fires that are in the west, they've had to ground some of the Forest Service planes because they didn't have the fuel. Hopefully they've resolved that problem. But it was interesting and what's going on, and of course it's in our back door, and it's moving forward. Okay. City Manager's Report, excuse me.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. Tonight, I'd like to read the following regarding issues that are outstanding with Republic Waste Services on our residential solid waste. Last night, city staff met with Republic Management to address some of the concerns that we've been hearing about from residents. We acknowledge there have been issues. They acknowledge that there have been issues. Due to a shortage of staff and maintenance issues, several neighborhoods had delayed or even missed pickup over the last 2 to 3 weeks. So that instigated this meeting, and City Council, a couple council members said, hey, we need to follow up. Republic Management has come up with a few ideas to tackle these problems. First, one of the issues is a shortage of drivers and staff. Republic says they have hired more drivers, which will put more workers out on the streets. Second, more direct communication with city staff and city residents. Republic has put out a communication plan in place so city staff and residents will be notified of future issues as soon as possible. Third, additionally, Republic has adjusted its routing to further ensure that Apache Junction residents are serviced in a timely manner. Rather than being done later in the day, Republic will be picking up trash in Apache Junction first and better prioritize the city residents so that they will not be missed moving forward. With this plan, we anticipate issues to decrease in the coming days and look forward to working with Republic on continual improvements. And we'll keep on that. Just wanted to let you know that's where we're at on that one. And then, Al, are you ready for current events?
Good evening. I'm going to remind everyone real quick to make sure your microphones are pointing at you, to make sure everybody can get picked up for audio. That's always a very important thing. Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the City of Apache Junction. Nice to be before you again this evening to hit on a couple of things that are going on in the community. We have a couple things that you might want to be aware of. First is Horizon Health and Wellness, again putting on its mental health first aid training class. That's going on in August. You can contact Sherry Debris at Horizon for more information or to register. The class is scheduled for August the 10th. You can also go to the Horizon Health and Wellness website for some information as well. The Elks Lodge will be having a celebration for the National Day of the Cowboy on Saturday, July the 24th. That's this coming Saturday. The Elks Lodge, of course, is right up State Route 88 from where we are. The event starts at 6 p.m. and proceeds are set to go to the local veterans projects. You can contact the Elks for more information. Food Truck Fridays began on Friday. There's a couple more coming up here in July. They're being held at the East Valley Shopping Center on Phelps and the Trail. The festivities start at 4 o'clock. You can see some of the trucks that are going to be out there, or scheduled to be out there. We remind you that the Centennial Celebration Committee continues to meet on the second and fourth Wednesdays of each month at 6 p.m. They're meeting at the Apache Junction Public Library. All people are welcome to get set for the centennial year of 2022, and it's coming up fast. Those are your council announcements for July 20th, 2021.
Thank you. In the public hearing, we can combine these two, correct?
Yes, so please read the titles together, and then we could have two separate votes when they ultimately
Right.
come up.
Okay. Consideration of ordinance number 1506 regarding medical marijuana, and consideration of resolution 2127 regarding medical marijuana, and includes the recreation marijuana as well. I don't see that here, but on both of them. Okay.
All right, so good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Kelsey Shatnick. I'm a planner on staff. And tonight I will be going over the proposed text amendment changes to the current medical marijuana regulations. So the new proposed text amendments were drafted based on the direction given to staff on the June 1st, 2021 council meeting. And these new text amendments prohibit additional dual licensee or medical marijuana dispensaries, additional cultivation and infusion kitchens, standalone recreational establishments, cultivation sites, as well as testing facilities within the city. And that's kind of all I had for my presentation. It's a very broad overview. One thing I wanted to point out before I kind of take questions, I did provide you all with a draft of the amendments, and I did make one change, or a couple very minor changes from what you received in your staff report for clarification. So I realized that on page 2, the non-residential use regulations were not properly reflecting what was being said in the regulations for the supplemental regulations. Primarily having the no marijuana establishments being allowed in the B3 zoning district, and then having marijuana cultivation and infusion kitchens only in the B5 zoning district. So that was the only change I made in the draft that I gave you versus what was provided to you in the staff report. So I'd be happy to pull up the version and answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
I have one.
Yes.
Kelsey, why the change?
So it didn't change any of the content. It was just a mistake for drafting purposes. So the B3 medical marijuana facilities were never allowed in there. It was just in the table itself, it said it was allowed by a CUP instead of not allowed. So that was why that was changed to reflect that. And then again, the same thing with marijuana cultivation and infusion kitchens. In the draft that was provided to you, it said that it would be allowed by CUP in the B1 through B5 zoning district, whereas it is only allowed in the B5 zoning district. So that was why the change was made, to make sure that the two sections of the code were consistent.
So is this saying that in the future, B5 industrial, a marijuana cultivation and infusion kitchen can come into town with the CUP?
So it has always been allowed that way, and so that was not changed.
Why was that not changed?
So from discussions we had had, it sounded like what we had in the city, we were fine with keeping, and so there were 2 dispensaries and 1 cultivation and infusion kitchen. Their CUP had lapsed, so they would have had to renew that, so.
That kitchen's closed, though, is it not?
It is, right now.
It has been for quite a while.
Yes, their CUP has
So we're saying
lapsed.
that because it used to be there, we will allow it to go back there again?
That is how this is currently drafted.
But that's not how what we said, that's
Can
not
I
how we
clarify?
direct staff to do.
Mr. Mayor, can I clarify one thing? So what it wouldn't allow is a standalone recreational marijuana facility, right? So what was allowed prior, according to the medical marijuana rules, it would still apply, but not for recreational-only type situations.
Correct.
Well, no. See, this is saying a cultivation and infusion kitchen. And can you go back to the first the first slide. Now, additional cultivation and infusing kitchens that were prohibited. And we don't have one now, so why are we leaving the door open for one?
We can make that change. There is currently an applicant that is in the process of renewing the CUP,
They're renewing the CUP.
or obtaining a new one. Yes.
So you're saying that the same company is coming back?
I don't believe it is the same, no.
So we have an empty vacant building, and to get it under the wire, because someone had applied for it, we're going to put in this ordinance that a CUP is,
That's not why this change is there. We can take that out if that's how we want to move forward. But because an applicant has already submitted their application, they are still under the existing rules. So
the application has been submitted,
Correct.
and everything about it is right as rain?
I am not handling that project, but as far as I'm aware, it is currently under review by staff.
So I'm aware that once we pass this, they have 30 days to submit that application, and then it kind of falls under the grandfather, that before this actually takes effect, they got in under the wire and they were able to do it.
Correct.
So now I've seen a lot of businesses apply for CUPs and come, and it's always at a snail's pace. I mean, was this fast track to get it under the wire?
No, we have been discussing, they have been contacting us. I don't remember when exactly it was, but it was towards the beginning of this year. So they have been in the process. We have met with them a few times to
This creates a little conundrum here. This is interesting.
This is
very
staff
interesting.
undermining council's decision, is it not?
I didn't say that.
I don't think that's
Your
what
Honor.
I'm saying. No.
I don't recall ever hearing, and again, we've gone through this a million times, so I very well may have missed it, but I don't recall ever hearing about a applicant currently in the works. So how long I mean, did they submit it 30 days ago? Did they submit it 6 months ago? When did they submit that?
I want to say they submitted within the last 2 weeks.
So this came up at,
It was not out of the blue. This has been brought up at previous meetings, that there was an applicant calling us, trying to get more information, and they were aware that this was through the process of potentially being changed, so.
and there's no recourse, and this very well may be a Larry question, and I understand that. So there's no ability for the city or staff to come back and say, hey, council has this. I mean, 2 weeks ago, you all knew that this was on our agenda item for tonight. So
More of a legal question, Joel.
and that very well may be. I mean, what is the process of being able to say, we need to wait until council has this discussion before submitting it? I think, like Robert said, kind of right under the wire.
Well, if they, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Biggs, they have a due process right to submit,
Right.
and if they meet that time limit, and you say, no, we don't want these for the future, they're still under the old rule. So that could happen. Now, they still have to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they have to get permission from the Planning and Zoning Commission. It has to be approved. It could then be appealed to the council at one point, but still, they'd be under the current rule, which would allow them to basically operate if they get their CUP.
So essentially, it'd be in the hands of the Planning and Zoning Commission whether or not they would move in.
Yes, say you decided we're going to,
Council's cut out of that equation.
well, unless someone appeals it to the city council. Say someone doesn't like their decision, and it gets appealed to the council, then the council has full authority to amend, modify.
Meaning the applicant.
Applicant or a neighbor.
Someone in the audience?
Sure, it has to, under the law, because of a Phoenix case, it has to be someone with a vested interest. So if they live within so many feet, for example, then that would be someone who has standing, has to have legal standing.
All I'm saying is, if somebody applies the day before it's prohibited, you still have to process their request.
Well, I understand.
Tomorrow it's
I understand
prohibited,
that.
but today, so it doesn't matter.
Conveniently timed, I would just say, like.
So they.
Yeah, but I don't know that the
So
city would know that
if
they
the
were going to
council adopts
apply.
this tonight, someone could come in on the 29th day because the ordinance doesn't go into effect for 30 days after passage, right?
Actually,
Publication.
after it's available for the public, so it has to be signed and then it'd be available for,
So
so it'd be
available
tomorrow.
tonight, it would be, okay, tomorrow. So
Starting
they could
tomorrow.
apply on the 29th day.
Yep.
So my understanding is the current property owner, who has been the landlord all this time, is now involved in the project, and I think somehow is a partner in the project, and they made an application, I believe 2 weeks ago, but they have been in contact with the city over the last 2 or 3 months.
So, Your Honor?
Yes.
So I guess I have a question for you, Joel. So if we decided to, okay, let's take that CUP out of there and put no, but these people have every right to come in and do it because they're all under the wire. Now, when they decide to sell or close like the last two did, that stops anybody else from coming in, does it not? Because you can't change, once the CUP, once they're done, they're done. And then now it's based on what's going on now in our ordinances.
Correct, and there's some transfer rights that they may or may not have, depending on what the P and Z says, because they may want to have a right to transfer it.
Interesting.
But if there's other applicants after this ordinance is done after 30 days, then nobody else can come in under the wire, because there's no wire anymore, because you would have pulled the plug on future ones.
Your Honor.
Yes.
So does that work the same way then if Nature's Wonder or Nirvana decide to leave and sell? I mean, essentially, if they do that, we're not allowing any new ones. So does it go away if those two businesses decide to leave?
If they're existing and they already are under a CUP, then they still have those rights. They don't lose those rights if they leave. They could transfer it. I believe there's something in the ordinance, Larry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a condition that talks about transfer, and I think we're supposed to be given notice of that. And then if it doesn't pan out, something sounds odd, the staff could bring it to the P&Z for a review of the CUP and the assignment.
Okay, so then what happens if one of those facilities outgrows their current space and wants to open a new space?
If they want to do it at a different location, the answer is no, because you would have said no to a CUP. If they want to expand their current, I'd say no, because what's under the CUP, there's a site plan, and so it's covered. So I don't think they could expand.
So, Your Honor, so according to this, I mean, the dual license facilities and the medical marijuana facilities, they still have CUP options here in our ordinance. So even if one did close, another one can come in its place, and so long as in the same zoning, they can open up.
If they're currently in business, yes. But, and I don't know about the one that applied, I don't know if anybody's currently in business there. Didn't that CUP get voided, as I recall, because they didn't hook up to sewer? Isn't that correct?
But I don't know that you'd have to check whether that went back to the Planning Commission to have that withdrawn. But no, they did not meet the criteria because they did not connect to sewer.
Right, so I think that was voided as a matter of law because they didn't meet a condition. And the P&Z did not have to bring it back to basically get rid of the CUP because they did not meet the condition. So they can't just slip into the shoes because someone used to be there. No.
So, I mean, as far as where I'm at is, the medical and the recreational, the dual license facilities, according to our ordinances, in certain zoning areas, they need a CUP to open up and they can conduct business. If one leaves, then okay. But the one at the bottom here, this cultivation, that doesn't even exist. That's not here, it's gone. And we've gone through two of them. I mean, have we not learned our lesson with these type of facilities that we've gone through changings of owners, they've violated their CUPs. I mean, there's this over and over and over again. I remember on the planning and zoning, we dealt with this a lot. They didn't add up to it. So guess what? Now we sold it to my brothers, or some crazy thing like that. And it was just nothing but headache and after headache after headache. Now it's an empty building. We have a chance to come in here and say, okay, let it be a car garage again, or whatever it was. But now we're leaving the door open for yet another one to come in and to just more than likely give us headaches. Oh, and I have one more question for Larry. Does this facility have a future plan to have a grow facility in it?
I believe they were going to have some grow facilities.
So now it's not just cultivation and infusion. In the future, they want to add grow to their business model.
Yeah, the last one had a grow facility, small one. I mean, it's limited by its size, of course.
Sure, but they're layering it on as far as they're not going to start off as a grow facility, but they want to evolve into one as time goes by.
Well, that's my understanding, but I don't, we can check the application as it's been submitted. So, again, normally for a CUP, they make an application. We go through a couple rounds to make sure that their application is complete before we move it into the public hearing phase at the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Your Honor, I'm still confused, though, and I'm trying to understand more about Robert's point. Is the marijuana cultivation and infusion kitchens under B5 are saying CUP, but per this ordinance, we're not allowing them at all. So if we're not allowing them at all per the ordinance, how are we allowing them under a CUP in the paperwork? That,
So I think the difference is we were differentiating between a marijuana cultivation and infusion kitchen versus a cultivation site. We were treating those differently.
so only a
'cause it-
standalone cultivation site versus a dual facility, basically?
Correct, because, a lot of infusion kitchens tend to grow their own product to infuse into.
Which is what we're talking about with this potential site as an option. So they would have the ability to do that under a CUP. Okay. And then the other piece to this too is we still allow dual license facilities under a CUP in all but the public zoning area. So one of our current dispensaries would not be able to drop their dual license and just become recreational. Because, I mean, at some point, I think medical is going to go out the door because there's really no point to the medical side.
Except that the tax is lower.
Except the tax
Quite a
is
bit
lower.
lower, isn't it?
6.5%, I think we discussed.
I thought it was a little bit more than that, but it's, the tax is
So,
lower.
I mean, it's taxes at that point, but they would not be allowed to drop the medical side and just become a standalone recreational facility, correct?
Correct, yes.
You're on. So if this B5, the CUP that's put down in here, the one that we're discussing, if that was a no, that still wouldn't have any bearing on this company coming in, correct?
That is my understanding.
So why wouldn't we just say no?
We can easily
can.
change that.
I would like that.
And so if you were to change that, we would change that, and then we would change on page 3 to eliminate, under number of facilities allowed within the city, we would remove the section regarding the total number of infusion kitchens, so it'd be limited to 1.
So there is in the ordinance, it says that. Can you
Correct.
repeat that, Kelsey, again?
Yeah. Right here.
Or show us that.
Your Honor.
Can we have a clarification, Your Honor? I just want to clarify this piece.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if we were to change marijuana cultivation and infusion kitchens to no under the B5 zoning district, we would also change number 3 and eliminate, and the total number of infusion kitchens shall be limited to 1. We would just eliminate that.
So I guess I'm confused about the discussion and debate going on here. We've always had in this ordinance, the total number of infusion kitchens shall be limited to 1.
So this is new, so this highlighted text is new, and it was changed because the language that was currently under the medical marijuana, talking about the CHA, was old language that didn't apply anymore. So this was kind of our way of updating that language to say what we thought, what we had within the city, that was all we wanted. We didn't want any additional. So it was kind of a way to update the language because the CHA no longer is applicable.
Except that I think what Robert is saying is that once the one infusion center went away, the whole point of his stance is very clear.
And we
No
can-
more.
easily change that.
So
And
that,
so-
yeah, so we could take that out. That's your policy. If you want to take that out, we could take it out.
It's not going to impact this one application that's already come under the wire. See, I have a question. Is that common? When a situation comes up where an ordinance is going to have a big impact or a major change, is it common to get applicants to come in right before the suspected change? Is this a common thing?
In a lot
I'll
of
give you a couple
cases,
examples.
it is.
Yeah.
So unless you do a moratorium, and again, you have to be very clear about a moratorium and why you're doing it, and I don't even know if you could have done one in this case, but it's certainly common. If folks know the rules are going to change and they don't think they're in their favor, then they will certainly make an application to
Jump
vest
on it.
their.
Yeah.
Your Honor, over the years on the world of development fees, when you've changed your ordinance and changed that, all of a sudden, all the developers want to come in and pay them, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, other questions, Brian? Okay, so this is we're combining the two, but I'm going to go ahead and say that for the public speak, we'll combine the 6 and 7. And I have one here right now that'd like to talk on 6. And that's Kim Toshaw. Tonstal.
I'm opposed to putting restrictions on the number of marijuana dispensaries in Apache Junction. I have lived in Apache Junction for over 25 years. My family owns 5 GR-zoned properties. 3 have homes on them. Pinal County has determined that they have a combined cash value of well over $1 million. If the GR building and zoning requirements were the same as Pinal County, the 2 vacant lots would have homes on them. Improvements would have been made to the existing homes. The combined value would be much closer to $3 million. The 2 additional families would be spending money in the city. Unfortunately, building a home or making major home improvements in Apache Junction is not a good investment. I have watched the East Valley grow around Apache Junction. We are a 35 square mile, 42-year-old city northeast of the 60 freeway and Meridian Road. The 35 square mile area south and west of the same intersection was mostly open land 10 years ago. It is now worth many times the value of this city. Current GR zoning and building requirements only seem to be desirable to people who do not want to live in Apache Junction. Many people think of Apache Junction as a place where old people live in beat-up old trailers next to a huge dump. I see city government and previous city councils as self-serving, collecting fees rather than providing for the needs and services of the people to be the primary goal. These are the people who made Apache Junction what it is. The people of Arizona have voted to make marijuana available for recreational use. The fact that some of you do not agree with its use does not give you the right to make it difficult to obtain. In a few years, it may be decriminalized by the federal government. It will be in supermarkets and convenience stores along with cigarettes and alcoholic beverages. Apache Junction has a less than desirable image. A good start to improving it might be to find out what the people want and do what you can to make it happen. If you want to prevent the city from growing, keep doing the things that have been done in the past. If you want to help it become part of the future growth of the East Valley, stop forcing expensive, restrictive, and unwanted requirements on the people. Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead.
George Schroeder, 2444 West Virginia. The gentleman obviously has part of that right, and I don't know what the other land, but we seem to get all these wish lists from people, like you said, come in at the last second. Oh, I have rights, I have rights. Well, they weren't here at the city meeting when you voted it down. They weren't here in the P&Z when they voted it down, yet the last second they come up, well, you got to, or I'm going to sue you. Oh, really? Okay. And mental retardation fits. So we have 80,000 people that live in this city 1 month, 5 months, 12 months a year. We're not getting the taxes that we need to do what we need, like the gentleman said. And $69 million a year says that we have people that are not doing their job, they don't know how to do their job, and we need to get people, but just better people. As far as the marijuana goes, I don't see a need for it. We don't want to grow area. This is just going to attract more of the poop heads. And we got enough of those. And we're going to be in a war. We're going to be in a drug war, even more than we are right now. And just in our little hyperbolic space here, we're going to be, because they don't know how to get their job and their act together. And Mr. Curtis says yes to everything that even might have a penny. He says yes to everything. He doesn't even tell you. He just does it. And then we have to deal with it later, like Mr. Schroeder said. You come in at the last minute, even though they said it was okay. They said it was okay for, just an example, to have a trailer in front of somebody's house. It's never been, since 2017, that's not been allowed. I don't know when the first marijuana law came into effect here, but he's right. The old gentleman's right. This is going to go where anybody can buy it anytime they want. And right now, all these people in the state are trying to make the money they can by licenses, by cups. It's illegal. I'm telling you right now, it is illegal to do these things. But here we are. I say keep asking questions, because Larry doesn't have it right at all.
Anyone else? Yes.
I'm Jeff Bartlett. I'm over at 108 North Meridian Drive, apartment 220 in Apache Junction, Arizona. What I'd like to say is the complete opposite of what we're hearing here, and I think this is a good thing. Thank you for doing something about keeping these drugs off the streets. I mean, I don't think it was a good idea to legalize it in the first place. Sadly, public opinion isn't always right all the time. I mean, it takes some real courage to go up against public opinion, because public opinion is not always right. And I think putting some restrictions on these marijuana companies is a good thing. Normally, I'm against regulating businesses, but if it's keeping these drugs off the streets, I think it's a good thing for us to be doing. I mean, marijuana is a gateway drug. Usually, people start off with marijuana, and then they start getting on to harder things that can get even worse. I really don't think it was a good idea to legalize it in the first place to begin with, but sadly we're kind of stuck with this law that people passed that is making it harder for council members to do certain things here, and I think something needs to be done the best we can to regulate these marijuana companies, because marijuana should have never been legalized in the first place to begin with. Thank you. God bless.
Anyone else? All right, seeing no additional, I'll close the public hearing. Any additional comments from council?
Your Honor?
Yes.
We have to deal with what is, whether we like it or not. It's been passed. It's legal now. And so, yeah, sometimes we're faced with difficult situations. I think so far the conversations that the council has had is not so much that they're against it. And I think people forget how many people up here were on planning and zoning when medical marijuana first became legalized. We fought to get a dispensary in our community. These are not people sitting up here that are necessarily against it. What we're saying is we have enough. Let's have a diverse economy. Let's bring some other types of business in. And if and when the need arises that we need one on every corner or more, fine. Then fine. This is not something that just is a be-all, end-all, and it's written in stone and can't be looked at in the future depending on the needs of the community. But right now, we have what the community needs. They have the ability to get what they want and what they need and what's legal. All we're saying is, let's take a step back and not just jump in. This is new. And so we're doing the best we can. We're doing the best we can. You're not going to be able to please everybody, but we're trying to make good, solid, educated decisions to help promote our community in a positive way. That's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to say no to anything. We have it, and we're saying for right now, let's just get our feet wet and see where this takes us, and down the road, you got a fairly new council here too. You know, down the road, you may have another new council, and they may open it up completely when the needs of the people change and they say, hey, we want more. That's all I have.
Anyone else over here?
Your Honor.
Yeah.
The public hearing's
Public hearing's
closed.
Yeah, it's closed.
I agree with Vice Mayor Rizzi 100%. I mean, we have 2 facilities in the city limits now, and as it was pointed out, 35 square miles, which is not a very big city at all. I mean, you could be anywhere in the city within 10 minutes, be at a door of a dispensary. There is a lot of things going on to the west of us that they are putting these restrictions on these places. And what we don't want to happen, which it sounds like it's already started to happen, they're making their way east. Okay, we tried Gilbert, tried Mesa, tried Chandler. No, no, no. So now we're getting applications right underneath our wire of what we're trying to do here. So what we don't want to happen is that this industry has 4 different facets to it. It's got like a cultivation, it's got dispensaries, it's got kitchens, it's got test facilities. What we're trying to do is curb the whole, every time you turn around, okay, well, here's a test facility. Then here's your cultivation kitchen. Oh, okay, well, here's your grow. You know, that's what we're trying not to do. You know, it's funny because I can't, how many times do you hear, oh, we need another tire store, or, oh, we need another tattoo parlor, oh, we need, okay, you've got a council that wants to proactively prevent, oh, we need another one of these from happening, and then the feedback is, oh, don't do this to us. So what we're trying to do is just, like Chris was saying, take a step back, let this unfold, let us, you know, put on the brakes a little bit, and then, you know, years down the road, it's like, hey, this is becoming something of an anomaly. This is the new thing. We're going to need this like we need Circle K's. All right. The next group could come in here and be like, okay, let's open it up. This is a new thing going on, and we have a lot of new things going on ourselves. This is something we just want to put the brakes on it. We're not trying to take it away from anybody. We're not trying to say that it's, you know, we disagree with it, therefore we're setting policies that revolve around our personal disagreements with. I personally, I don't care about it one way or the other. I mean, if medical, I never had a problem with. Recreation, I don't have a problem with. I mean, I don't indulge, but I don't have a problem with it. But what I just don't want is that an industry with so many different facets to it popping up all over the city. And so, yeah, we're just trying to put the brakes on it for a second, guys.
Joel, can I reopen up the call to the public?
You mean the public hearing portion?
Yeah.
Yes. Then anybody could speak again.
Okay. Would you like to? So I'll reopen the call to the public.
Thank you for listening. My name is Morgan Lopes, L-O-P-E-S. I live at 4261 in Gold Canyon. All right. When the state and everything voted to have medical marijuana, well, you had to be in a lotto ball, and people took a lot of money to get that lotto ball. Then there were a lot of rules and amendments by the state alone itself saying that you couldn't sell a license, but then you have dispensaries like Nirvana and like Harvest and such that came in and basically said, okay, you don't know how to run a business, so I'll give you $250,000 and 5%, and you just keep signing my license is good when it's supposed to be surrendered back to the state. They used to send a newspaper to everybody that the average dispensary is making like $4.8 million a year with only 6 employees. They're nonprofits and everything. Okay, that's not a problem. The people did vote to have it legal. Now, you're taking away revenues from the state. I understand you don't want one on every corner like a Starbucks, but there are Starbucks on every corner in this city. When you go to Lucky Bob's Liquors, you can go right across the street to the CVS and get liquor. You can go right into Fry's and get liquor. They're all within 1/10 of a mile of each other. And all people say that it's a gateway drug and it's this and that, you know, and there's a lot of times. I'm a cancer survivor, and I probably weigh 240 pounds now. I wouldn't weigh this. I go, because my own doctor said, hey, this might be something you should try to get your nutritions back or something. But there are some people that want a dispensary to do good things, to really be a nonprofit and go out. I'd love to have one, and I'd love to have a food truck and go down and park at the school and give kids a free meal whose parents can't afford a meal for them. It makes my wife and I sick. There's other good things that people do. Like you said, you don't care one way or the other. Okay, some people were raised that, you know, this is the most terrible thing on earth. Well, how are you going to say that if everybody keeps voting a certain way, saying they do want something? I could understand that you're saying, okay, maybe we're going to go and just only allow 8 more licenses, because what I see has happened with this medical marijuana in Arizona, and I understand it from 15 other states, Hawaii, California, Oregon, that what has happened is these marijuana industries and dispensaries in Arizona have set up a monopoly. This is a capitalistic country, and if I have the money and I can go down and get a license, which I have, I took from being a laborer in roofing to doing government jobs on the most secured facilities and Army bases and military bases in 3 states. And if I can go in and I'm intelligent enough to take a test for the government to tell me that, yes, I can run this, what's going to happen is a dispensary and grow site and everything is just like a restaurant. If you serve the worst food at your restaurant, do you think everybody's not going to go, hey, Jim, Bob, Tony, Mary, Jack, Jill, don't go there. They're no good. But if they are really trying to help people and do something and bring money into the neighborhood and everything, because when I moved here 28 years ago, 25 years ago, I went to planning. They said, hey, you're going to build your house. You're going to have your plumbing, the electrical, everything put in. I said, absolutely. I'm a retired contractor. Then they go, okay, 1.6% is going to build the new school that was put out there in the middle of the desert at the time. There weren't all these houses. Well, one thing that I see, you're allowing so many houses to be built, but there's no infrastructure. Where's all the sewage going? Where's the electricity coming from? Why aren't the roads wider? Because when you do come here, when it's snowbird season, there are like 250,000 people living in this town. You can't hardly get anywhere. But for you right now to really, I kind of say, you're just help keeping these people in the money and the monopoly. Saying, okay, Nirvana, you can stay open, you can do this, but you can't expand or anything. They've already expanded. They don't need Apache Junction, really. They've got Tempe, Prescott, Parker, everywhere. Harvest is the same way. What you're preventing is good people maybe from having a business and saying, you know what, we pay our taxes, we do the right thing, we do want to help. But you are preventing that, 100%. Because either they're giving you so much money or something, well, where do you think that money's coming from? They're not in competition with anyone. When I went to go bid a job, we had high and low throwaways. Highest bid, you're throwing away because your money's just too crazy. Low guy, you're too big because maybe you don't know what you're doing. Okay. But I think you might give it a little more time to think about what you're doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
No other comments?
May I make one additional comment?
Yes.
We live in a free market economy. If people are not going to buy marijuana and the byproducts, stores are not going to be open.
Sir, we need to have you step up to the microphone to get.
We live in a free market economy. If people are not going to buy marijuana and the byproducts, stores won't stay open. It's self-regulating. People are not going to keep businesses open that don't make money. We know that for sure here in Apache Junction. Thank you again.
Anyone else? All right, I will now close public hearing again. Any additional comments from the council?
Your Honor, I have one. I remember when Nirvana came in. I was actually on the planning and zoning, and we were having a hard time with it because we had just got Nature's Wonders in there, and because of the CHAW, it was allowed to have another dispensary in our CHAW. And we ended up putting Nirvana here in the city, but the irony is, Gold Canyon's in that CHAW too, and they denied it. They said no. And so we brought it into this city. So it would just be interesting to me to see how open a town like Gold Canyon would be to allow these dispensaries or these cultivation kitchens or the test facilities while they sit in the very same CHAW that we do. So I just want to say, we're not trying to deny anybody of anything. We have 2 dispensaries in a small town, and not just that, you just hit Crimson Road, you've got another one. So, I mean, they're available to the people of this city. But we're being made out to be the villain, like we're trying to rob everybody of a livelihood, and that's not the case at all. That's all, Your Honor.
Anyone else? Yes.
I don't talk in terms of we. I'm going to talk in terms of myself. And I do not feel that I was elected to make any kind of moral decision or limitations on any legal business. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to bring businesses into Apache Junction. I am not here to say we have enough liquor stores, no more liquor stores, or no more brewing companies. We have enough. I mean, to that, the whole, it doesn't make sense to me. The state regulates this industry more than the liquor industry. The talk of it being on every corner is ridiculous. There's only 26 allowed in the entire state.
But the other cities.
So to not allow someone to come in to manufacture a product in our industrial center that sits freaking empty. I mean, we have empty buildings everywhere, and this is a legal business. I'm nobody to say we have enough. I'm nobody to say we have enough thrift stores or Starbucks or any kind of a store. That's what the market takes care of. That's not what we're here for. We're here to say, okay, we don't want it here, but we can have it here. But for some reason, some of the council feels that they don't want it at all. And I disagree with it adamantly, and that's the way I personally feel about it, that I have anguished over this as being probably one of the worst things that I have had any conversation about the entire time I have been on council and in planning and zoning. It's like that is not our job to eliminate legal businesses. That's not what we're here for. We're here to make the city grow, to have what we need, and who knows how many of these. We may not get any more. But to stop a lab from coming into any of our industrial spots, if they go through the legal process, I have no objection to this. I do object to what we have before us tonight. I adamantly disagree with it.
Your Honor. I think one of the concerns of some of the, we talk about having only 23 numbers that can be pulled or whatever in the state. When you have all your neighboring communities blocking it, we do have the propensity of, the possibility of having them come here if we open the doors to, any number of them. So
And
that
what would happen?
That potentially could happen. In my opinion, I feel that we have an absolute obligation to shape our community and our economy and to keep it diverse, and not have, you know, one type of business throughout the community. And so I think, in my opinion, I don't see it as blocking anything. I see it as an obligation to shape the growth.
Your Honor.
Yes.
My views on this have changed a lot over the last 6 months of us discussing this, or however the heck long it's been. I agree a lot with what Councilmember Evans said. I don't think any of us are up here making a decision based off of our own personal beliefs or bias. Personally, I voted against the proposition. I'm not in favor of recreational marijuana myself, but I'm not up here to represent myself. I'm up here to represent the 42,000 people who live here. I think that when we talk about restricting businesses, well, sorry guys, but that's a crock, because we are restricting businesses. The two businesses that we have here now who have come in well beyond a new regulation aren't allowed to expand. They're not allowed to grow. They're not allowed to change. So we are restricting businesses that we have here in town right now, who are contributing to our sales tax, who are contributing in some way to our population, be it right, wrong, or indifferent. That's not up for us to decide. We do have the ability, Gail said it, the state regulates this. That's true. We also have the ability to set additional regulations on that. We could come in and say, just like it says here with that we argued over the CUP for the medical or marijuana cultivation and infusion kitchens. We could come in and put CUPs on all of this and say the CUP comes before council and not planning and zoning. That was discussed. We talked about throwing that back on our appointed board members. Well, let's take that opportunity and put it back on us. So we have the ability to allow any business, be it one who applied 2 weeks ago or one who applies 4 years from now, the ability to appeal that we may or may not want them. I would be completely in favor of saying we want them in certain zones. I, under no circumstances, want them in our B3 downtown core. Absolutely not. So I agree with that change. But if we're going to put grow facilities in open industrial zones, what's going there right now? There's an opportunity to bring revenue into this city that we are constantly trying to find new sources of revenue. And we don't know if that's going to be $5 or $5 million a year. That's great revenue that we could be bringing in. I'm not in favor of it personally. I don't like this current proposal. I wish we would have the ability to appeal it. And if we could appeal it, then my recommendation would be to take it off of our Board of Adjustments, off of our P&Z, take it directly to the City Council. We were elected by the people. We should be responsible for deciding if we're going to get a new business or not a new business, and where it's going to go or where it's not going to go.
Your Honor. A couple points. We make zero revenue off of a testing facility or a cultivation kitchen. In fact, even dispensaries, we make our revenue off of paraphernalia. If someone buys a pipe or a rolling paper, all the money, marijuana, it goes to the state.
That's not correct.
That is 100% correct.
That is not correct. We do make sales tax off of the substance as well.
No.
Jennifer's shaking her head.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Schroeder, we do on medical and recreational, the cost for someone purchasing medical is lower, but the sales tax is still the same on the medical marijuana. And then we get sales tax off of recreational.
Yeah, what is our?
My apologies. I couldn't tell you offhand right now, but I do know that it is a significant amount of money. So when medical marijuana first came into the city and we were self-collecting, there was thousands of dollars. So I would hate to put a number out there and not even be close or be way off, but we make a significant amount of sales tax revenue off of both medical and recreational.
If I may real quick, Jennifer, so medical marijuana is taxed lower than recreational marijuana, correct?
Yes, yes.
But the sales tax for the city at 2.whatever% remains the same. So regardless of what additional taxes are on there, we get the 2 point for 2.6%.
So here's the thing. We go back to, again, I get the infusion center, which we have an application for. So I get that. I think it's a non-discussion, non-argument. It is what it is. Again, you have 2 facilities or 10 facilities, okay? You're going to bring in, the tax revenue is going to be the same. The only difference is you're splitting it up between 5 different people. You're not, the tax revenue is going to be the tax revenue. You're not going to increase. People think that just because you bring in more of the same type of business, you're going to increase the tax revenue. You're not. You're just splitting it up between more people.
Well, if we bring in 50 new restaurants and it brings in 50 new customers from Tempe, that's bringing in more revenue because there's a draw for people to come out here.
Mr. Mayor? I think this would go smoother if a council member had the floor when they speak, so, excuse me, my voice is gone. Maybe people want me to shut up too, I guess. I think Mr. Schroeder had the floor before he was interrupted.
Yeah, and one more. Gail, with all due respect, I understand exactly where you're coming from. You know, it's not your job to restrict businesses and things like that. That's not why you're here.
Right.
But while you were here, storage facilities have been restricted, 55 and other trailer parks have been restricted, RV storage lots have been restricted. These are all legitimate businesses that have been restricted in the city limits of Apache Junction because of the overwhelming amount of these businesses that were coming in. So it seems a little, okay, I don't have a problem with this one, so I'm not here to say I can't stop a business, but I don't have a problem with this one, so let's stop this business. So it's either, you know, all or nothing. So should we open up the city to RV parks again and RV storage lots and storage facilities? Are we going to open them all back up?
Your Honor.
I mean, we have plenty of room in our industrial area for this.
The only thing I'd like to say to that is the state does not regulate our trailer parks or our RV storage spots. We regulated those because of the short-term, the winter visitor, we wanted long-term subdivisions for our interior. We put a moratorium on those, not because we had too many, as far as they exist are too many. We needed more housing that was year-round residents. That's why we restricted it. The state restricts the marijuana and how many can be in each town. So those RV parks, they are allowed, and we have them. We're trying to keep more of those out and more year-round visitor, or year-round residents, sorry. The state regulates it. They regulate the liquor and how many bars we have. I mean, we don't say, okay, well, we got 4 bars, we got enough.
Well,
But that's what we're doing with marijuana.
you could dress up any way you like. You're still restricting legitimate business.
Your Honor. Question on the restricting legitimate businesses, and I recall asking this at one of the last meetings. In the storage lots, the 55 and over communities, whatever that may be, a trailer park, if somebody buys the land and wants to appeal the city to open a new 55 and over park, a new storage facility, they can do that, correct, Joel? There's an appeals process for that. So,
Well, you mean if there's a zoning law that says no 55?
right,
And the city says, oh, sorry, then they could go to court.
which goes to Board of Adjustments?
That could be
or
an
go to
No, no,
Superior
no.
Court, or?
No. If there's a zoning code that says no 55, so if they try to get into one of the zones and there's no zoning, then they're going to be denied. It would be probably a Board of Adjustment matter because they would be contesting the Development Services interpretation of the zoning code.
So-
It would then go before the Board of Adjustment.
So what is our current, yes, I understand there's a moratorium on 55 and over parks. What is our current statute that says that we're not allowing that? Is that just council's wish at this point, or is it in code that says we're not allowing any more 55 and over parks?
Joel,
Larry can tell you
yeah,
about the zone.
so I think we're confusing some issues here, Your Honor. Can I jump in? So, Larry, let's make sure the ordinance that we're talking about here is one thing. And then I think you're referring to just in general zoning about 55 plus, and let's do some.
Or any type of use. So
Correct.
Yep.
we have a zoning district for RVP, recreational vehicle park, MHP, mobile home park, but we don't have any vacant land zoned that way. So if someone wants to come in, well, we have one that has, we have Thesman's that has
It's a big one. That's why I
concept
brought it up.
plan, has a
Right off the
concept
freeway.
plan approved. If they came in with their 745 units of a manufactured home park, they are pretty much vested to do that. Besides that, we don't have any land in the city zoned that's vacant that someone could come in tomorrow and say, I have zoning for a mobile home park, I want to do it.
But, so,
And then the age restricted has been, we've only had one since I've been here, and I don't think we have any in the last 15, 20 years. But that was through the plan development process. So they have an overlay zoning, and through that negotiation, the council, and I wasn't here then, 8, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, said reluctantly, they agreed to one subdivision for Dan Kaufman. He had 2 at the time. One was not age restricted, one was age restricted.
but
So-
a developer could still appeal to city and create a 55 and over park, or a 55 and over community if they had, if they go through the rezoning.
Yeah, we don't
process
have
of
any
plan.
language in our zoning code that prohibits a age-restricted community.
So
There's
it's
nothing
just-
in the language to appeal. If they were to apply for rezoning, and as part of that rezoning, we put a stipulation in there that said we're going to prohibit it, that I think they could appeal.
So to Councilmember Schroeder's point, they're actually not restricted.
We have some language in the new general plan that talks about the land uses we aren't encouraging because we have our fair share.
Correct.
So the argument is made, do we have our fair share? I was just looking online, Mesa has 500,000 people and they have 13 dispensaries. So I don't know if they've done their fair share or not, but, because I didn't do the math on what's the per capita, do you have, what do you need? It's really a policy decision
So
for
Larry,
you folks to decide.
How about storage facilities or RV parking storage?
We have 22 RV storage
Do
yards.
we have restrictions on those?
We have discouraged the last 25 or 30 of those. If someone comes in and says, I want to do a rezoning on this vacant piece of property and I want to have an RV storage yard, we said this will not have staff support. You can still take your case to the council or the plan commission for rezoning, but staff will not support a rezoning for RV storage yard. But this is the body that makes the zoning decisions.
Yeah.
But then that leaves it up to planning and zoning to approve it, deny it, council to approve it or deny it.
Correct.
So they still have the ability to open. So if we're going to allow them to do it, then Gail's right. We are restricting a legal business from opening in the city.
But we wouldn't allow them to do it, that's the point. If a dollar storage facility came in and staff gave a report that denied recommendation, I'm sorry, denied recommendation, would you fight to let them come in?
It goes before the council at that point. Then I want to hear
I
where.
guess I'm asking you, if you know cut and dry, I mean, would you
wanna
fight
hear,
to let that in?
I want to hear where it's going, what they plan to do, how it benefits,
We're
how
gonna
it
park
affects the
RVs
neighborhood.
in a lot.
But where in the neighborhood is it going? Is it going in an industrial zone, or is it going right next to Dan Kaufman's property?
Does that matter?
It does matter, absolutely.
Well, that would be restricting.
I mean, is it going in our downtown core? Is it going on the Grand Hotel site? Or
Your Honor,
Yes.
may I just say something briefly? For those of you in the audience who don't know this, we have discussed this issue for hours and hours and hours, and it continues tonight, okay? Our job is to represent the cities, the people of this city, and for the most part, the people I hear from are not in favor of having more facilities available. So, and we've worked very hard, I think Apache Junction has, to try to change the face of who we are. And I think we're stepping backwards if we open it up for many more dispensaries. On that note, I'm saying no more, and I'm asking the mayor if he will call for a motion.
Okay, I hear the request, and I will ask for a motion for ordinance number 1506 for regarding medical marijuana and recreational.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the ordinance number 1506 be read by title only and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call.
Councilmember Biggs?
No. Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
You gotta
reading.
call for it.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Now, I'm going to make a quick comment on the, if he had voted no, then she would have had to read the entire document on it. So that's the reason why he pulled back.
We're not voting no.
Okay, so yes.
Thank you. Ordinance number 1506, an ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, amending Apache Junction City Code Volume 2, Land Development Code, Chapter 1 zoning ordinance by repealing, replacing, and retitling portions of Article 1-5, zoning bulk and use regulations, Article 1-6, supplemental regulations, and Article 1-17, definitions, and by adopting by reference that certain document entitled 2021 Amendments to the Apache Junction City Code, Volume 2, Land Development Code, Chapter 1, Zoning Ordinance, Article 1-5, Zoning Bulk and Use Regulations, subsection 1-5-3, Non-Residential Use Regulations, Table 5-3, Non-Residential Use Regulations, Article 1-6, Supplemental Regulations, subsection 1-6-12, Medical Marijuana, and Article 1-17, Definitions, subsection 1-17-1, Definitions, repealing any conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for penalties.
Okay. That's the, now we need to vote on this,
We need the main motion.
The main motion.
Main motion.
Call for a main motion.
Your Honor, I have one question, if I may. Joe, can I ask you a question? Robert had a question in regards to the wording that was brought in the presentation. Does that need to be put, does an amendment need to be put in that motion if Robert?
Well, right now, there's no motion.
There's no motion.
So go ahead and put it in the motion.
That was my question, is does that change in, the change that was made in the presentation, I don't know if you remember what was said, does that need to be made in an amendment as part of the motion?
Well, I don't know what the motion's going to be for, so it's hard to answer that question. But if you want to go ahead with staff's recommendation or the questions that were brought up, then put it in the motion.
Okay.
okay, so I have a motion now.
Oh, I thought Chris was doing the motion.
This is your baby.
This item number 7?
No, it's
Number
six.
6.
Still six.
We're on 6.
Well, they're doing number 6 now.
You had a question.
I move that the ordinance number 1506 be read by the city clerk and be a...
We already did that one.
No, this is correct.
No,
He's right.
that's right.
Oh, okay.
As read.
I move that the ordinance number 1506 be read by the city clerk and be approved and adopted with the following amendments, that the marijuana cultivation and infusion kitchens under B5 industrial be changed from CUP to no, and the line on number 3 be taken out, and the total number of infusion kitchens shall be limited to 1.
Motion, do I have a second?
Can I ask a question? What's your first part of the motion? Where is it in the,
It's this.
This right here.
you want to change that to no? Okay, I just wanted to see it.
A second.
Okay, I moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Biggs?
I already let the cat out of the bag. No.
Okay. Councilmember Evans.
No.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
I agree with Councilmember Grummel that we have discussed and discussed and discussed, and yeah, it's a tough call, but I'm going to say yes.
Councilmember Nesser.
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Well, I'm going to say yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor, 5-2.
Now, do I have a motion for consideration of resolution number 21-27 regarding medical marijuana, which is number 7?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 21-27 declaring as a public record that certain documents filed with the city clerk and entitled 2021 Amendments to the Apache Junction City Code, Volume 2, Land Development Code, Chapter 1, Zoning Ordinance, Article 1 through 5, Zoning and Bulk Use Regulations, Non-Residential Use Regulations, Table 5-3, Non-Residential Use Regulations, Article 1-6, Supplemental Regulations, 1-6-12, Medical and Recreational Marijuana, and Article 1-17, Definitions, 1-17-1, Definitions, repealing any conflicting provisions and providing for severability be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Nesser.
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
No.
Councilmember Biggs.
No.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor, 5-2.
Okay. If we have no old business, no new business, no direction to staff, selection of meeting dates and locations. Do I have a motion on next meeting?
Maybe. Okay. Your Honor, I move that an executive session at 6 p.m. from Monday, August 2nd, and Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021, be held in the City Council Conference Room located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard in Apache Junction, Arizona, and other meetings be scheduled if necessary.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs.
I guess I'll vote yes.
Mayor Wilson.
I guess I'll vote yes as well.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Okay, I would like to remind everyone, the call of the public is a courtesy and not required by law. It is a time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, suggestions. Requests to speak forms must have been completed and handed to the city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues will be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under the open meeting law, council cannot engage in discussion of the issues presented by, but may respond to criticism, may direct to follow-up by staff and the speaker directly, and place this matter on future agenda. There is a 3-minute time speak for each speaker, and I have Livier Kurtz. Let's see.
Come on up, Livier.
Can't read your writing, sorry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Livier Kurtz. I live on the border of Apache Junction and Mesa. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Horizon Health and Wellness Center community garden space. I'm currently the community coordinator for the space, and we're starting a brand new project there where we're going to be growing lots of vegetables to bring the community together. We're going to be sharing them with the local food bank, also going to be sharing them with the Horizon patients. So we're looking for volunteers to come out and give us a hand. We've got a lot of awesome volunteers together as of right now. We're going to be redoing the boxes and adding soil, and doing a lot of planting. And I am a master gardener with the University of Arizona. I'm a disabled Marine Corps veteran. And so we're just trying to bring everybody together in the community and do good things for our community and for our children. All volunteers will be required to have a fingerprint clearance card. If they're going to be a regular volunteer, we will have push events for big projects and things like that, and to bring the kids into the different projects we're going to do. And we will have our first big project this Saturday from 7 to 9, and then we will meet every Thursday night from 6 to 8, and then on Saturdays from 8 in the morning till 9, or 7 in the morning till 9 o'clock. So everybody can come out this weekend. If you're new to it or thinking about volunteering, come out, meet all of the people, myself, and we'll go over the project and get you signed up to be a volunteer. It's going to be good things for this community. We need something like this here, and it's going to be amazing. Thank you, Mr. Schroeder, for bringing this to my attention. And Gail, thank you for bringing this to me and meeting with me, and we're going to make this an amazing space. We will put this garden on the map, I promise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. He's our new Gustavo.
And thank you for your service.
Mr. Jeff Bartlett?
Thank you. I'm Jeff Bartlett. I'm over at 108 North Meridian Drive, apartment 220 in Apache Junction, Arizona. First thing I'd like to say is thank you for passing these ordinances. I think it will be a good thing to help keep these drugs off the streets. It's a good thing that they were passed. And I personally, I'm not a big fan of passing a bunch of government regulations, but I have a request for another regulation that I think would be very good for the city to consider passing, and that is regulate R-rated and adult content stuff for both the public sector and the private sector. I think that if someone's going to be getting their hands on that kind of stuff, they should be required to show ID and be 18 years old. Something should be done about that, especially when there's this radical push to try to desensitize children to certain things, especially when it comes to our school systems. I mean, it's gotten so bad. I mean, I don't want to get into too many details about it here, but I mean, if you watch the news, you know what's going on lately with that kind of stuff, and I think something needs to be done. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you. God bless.
Mr. Schroeder?
George Schroeder, 2444, West Virginia. I'm hoping we can, are we in talks with Amtrak to bring us any closer to us? Because there's nothing that goes east of here. I've dealt with that for 40 years. It's 5 miles that way, then up to I-40 and that way, or 10 through Tucson and Cuidado, Mexico. Wow, that's not right. So anyway, I hope we can do something with the transportation. Somebody's got to ask. Just ask the question, okay? The airport, I'm quite sure those are ASU graduates that had the problem down there. So smoke it and they will come. Wow. The lady that first presented this marijuana to the city, she got you. She was really smart. I told you then she broke 4 federal felonies when she pitched the idea of this marijuana law to the city. Legal or not, we don't have to have it. It's our choice. But no, she come in there, oh, we're going to sue you if you don't let us in there. She said, oh, now we need more. We need another facility because people are coming out here and they're smoking it more. Really? Duh. Go figure. So now we have a second one. Now we want to grow. Now we want to call it. There's no testing. This testing needs to be done. This pot is 100 times stronger than the stuff I used to grow and used to smoke. 100 times. And I had a good time back then. I don't know about anybody else, but I got a great education. It made me actually study harder. You know, you're so high, you got to sit there and look at the questions and answer the questions. Guess what? It stayed in there. I benefited, some people don't. I'm not a big fan these days because it causes heart problems, absolutely. But this annexation, I will find a law. I will present it to the land trust. I will present it to the city. We and the city have to keep religious entities so many miles from any schools in the state of Arizona. That includes their little madrasas, like the one on Westwood right across the school. That's a madrasa. It's illegal. They won't get rid of it, but it's illegal. So I'm going to tell you, we need to keep and invite all the people to the table so everybody can be involved in this, not just certain people. I'm going to take a sabbatical. Maybe I'll see you in a couple months. Don't miss me.
Okay, does anyone have any follow-ups?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Brian, can we just follow up with Mr. Bartlett and just, he's got it, there's probably something specific he was talking about. Obviously, we can't just regulate our community in that area. So I don't know if he has something specific, maybe our library or something that he was talking. Can we just ask him
Yes,
that question?
we
Thank
certainly
you.
can.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.